Murder in the first degree, premeditated homicide, is the most serious charge tried in our criminal courts. You have heard a long and complex case, ladies and gentlemen. It is now your duty to sit down and try to separate the facts from the fancy. One man is dead. The life of another is at stake. If there is a reasonable doubt in your minds as to the guilt of the accused, then you must declare him not guilty. If, however, there is no reasonable doubt, then he must be found guilty. Whichever way you decide, the verdict must be unanimous. I urge you to deliberate honestly and thoughtfully. You are faced with a grave responsibility. Thank you. The jury will retire.
He doesn't stand a chance.
Chewing gum? Gum? Thank you, but no. You know something?
I know a lot of things. I'm in advertising.
You know, it's hot.
I never would have known that if she had told me. Would you? I suppose not. I could have forgotten. All I've done all day is sweat. I bet you aren't sweating like that kid who's tried.
You think that at least air condition the place? I almost dropped dead in court. My taxes are high enough. This should go fast anyways. Yes, it's hot.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, everybody's here. If there's anything you need, I'll be right outside. Just knock.
Did he lock that door?
Yes, it is.
What do they think we are, crooks?
They locked us up for a little
And they
while.
locked that kid up forever, and that's okay by me.
I believe they did that.
Sure they locked the door. What did you think?
Just didn't know. Never occurred to me.
Shall we all admit right now that it's hot and humid and our tempers are short?
It's been a pretty hard week. I feel just fine.
I wonder what's happening down at the office. You know how it is in advertising. In 6 days, my job could be gone and the whole company too. They're not gonna like this.
Well, figure this is our duty.
I'm not objecting to doing my duty. I'm just saying I might not have a job by the time I get back.
Ask her to hire you. She's rich. Look at that suit.
Is it custom tailored?
Yes, it is.
I have an uncle who's a tailor.
How does he do?
Not too well. You know, a friend of his. That's a friend of my uncle's a tailor. Well, this friend wanted to be on the jury in my place.
Why didn't you let him? I would have done anything to miss this.
And get caught or something? You know what kind of fine you can pay for anything like that? Anyway, this friend of my uncle's was on a jury once, about 10 years ago. A case just about like this one.
So what happened?
They let him off, reasonable doubt. And do you know, about 8 years later, they found out he'd actually done it anyway. A guilty man, a murderer, was turned loose in the streets.
Did they get him?
They couldn't.
Why not?
A man can't be held in double jeopardy. Unless it's a hung jury, they can't try a man twice for the same crime.
That is extraordinary.
6 days? They should have finished in 2. Talk, talk, talk. And have you ever heard so much talk about nothing?
Well, I suppose they're
Everyone gets a
entitled.
fair trial. That's the system. Well, I suppose you can't say anything against me.
How'd you like that business about their night? Did you ever hear a funnier story?
Well, look, you gotta expect that. You know what you're dealing with.
He bought a switch knife then.
And then he lost it.
A hole in his pocket.
A hole in his father.
An awful way to kill your father. A knife in his chest.
Look at the kind of people they are. You know them.
What's the matter? You got a cold?
A Lulu. These hot weather colds can kill you.
I had one last year. Well, I was on vacation too.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's take seats.
Right. This better be fast. I've got tickets to Hamilton for tonight. I must be the only girl in the world who hasn't seen it yet.
How about sitting down? The woman at the window, how about sitting down?
Oh, I'm sorry. It's tough to figure, isn't it? A kid kills his father, bing, just like that.
Well, it's the element. They let the kids run wild. Maybe it serves them right.
There are better proofs than some emotion you may have. Perhaps a dislike for some group.
We all agreed that it was hot and our tempers would get short.
That's if we disagree, but this is open and shut. Let's get it done.
All right, now you all can handle this any way you want to. I'm not going to make any rules. If we want to discuss it first and then vote, that's one way. Or we can vote right now and see how we stand.
Let's vote now. Who knows, maybe we can all go home.
Yeah, let's see who's where.
Right, let's vote now.
All right, let us vote.
Okay. All those voting guilty, raise your hand. 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, that's 11 for guilty. Not guilty. Are you?
Hey, you're in left field!
Okay, 11 to 1. 11 votes guilty, 1 not guilty. Now we know where we stand.
Do you really believe he's not guilty?
I don't know.
After 6 days, she doesn't know.
In 6 days I could learn calculus. This is ABC.
I don't believe that it's as simple as ABC.
I never saw a guiltier man in my life.
What does a guilty man look like? He's not guilty until we say he is guilty. Are we to vote on his face?
You sat right in court and heard the same things I did. The man's a dangerous killer. You could see it.
Where do you look to see if a man is a killer?
Oh, well.
I would like to know. Please tell me what the facial characteristics of a killer are. Maybe you know something I don't.
Look, what is there about the case that makes you think the boy is innocent?
He's 19 years old.
That's old enough. He knifed his own father 4 inches into the chest. An innocent little 19-year-old kid.
I agree with you that the boy is guilty, but I think we should try and avoid emotionally colored arguments.
All right. They proved it a dozen different ways. Do you want me to list them?
No.
Well, do you believe that stupid story he told?
Now.
Do you believe the kid's story?
I don't know whether I believe it or not. Maybe I don't.
So what'd you vote not guilty for?
There were 11 votes for guilty. It's not so easy for me to raise my hand and send a boy off to die without talking about it first.
Who says it's easy for me?
Or me.
No one.
He's still just as guilty whether it's an easy vote or a hard vote.
Is there something wrong because I voted fast?
Not necessarily.
I still think he's guilty. You couldn't change my mind if you talked about it for 100 years.
I'm not trying to change your mind.
So what are you thinking of?
I just want to talk for a while. Look, this boy's been kicked around all his life. You know, living in a slum, his mother dead since he was 9. It's not a very good head start. He's a tough, angry kid. You know why some kids get that way? Because we knock them over the head once a day, every day. I think maybe we owe him a few words. That's all.
All right. It's hard, sure. It was hard for me. Everything I got, I fought for. I worked my way through college. That was a long time ago. Maybe you do forget. I fought, yes, but I never killed.
I know what it's like. I never killed nobody.
I've been kicked around too. Just wait until you work in an ad agency and the big boy who owns the advertising walks in. We all know. In my country, kicking was a science, but let's try to find something better than that.
I don't mind telling you this, miss. We don't owe the kid a thing.
He got a fair trial, didn't he?
You know what that trial cost?
He's lucky he even got it. We're all grown-ups here. You're not going to tell us that we're supposed to believe in knowing what he is. I've lived among them all my life. You can't believe a word they say. You know that.
I don't know that. What a terrible thing for a person to believe. Since when is dishonesty a group characteristic? You have no monopoly on the truth.
All right, it's not Sunday. We don't need a sermon.
What this woman says is very dangerous.
I don't see any need for arguing like this. I think we ought to behave like adults here.
Right? All right, you insist.
Thank you.
Sure.
Now, if we're going to discuss the case, why, let's discuss the facts.
I think that's a good point. We have a job to do. Let's do it.
You don't mind? I'm just going to close the window. It's blowing on my neck.
If you don't mind, I'd like to have the window open.
But it was blowing on me.
Don't you want a little air? It's summer. It's hot.
I was very uncomfortable.
There are 12 of us in this room. It's the only window, if you don't mind.
I have some rights too.
So do the rest of us.
Couldn't you trade chairs with someone at the other end of the table?
All right. I'll walk into the window if somebody would trade.
Take my chair.
Thank you.
Shall we get back to the case?
Yeah, let's.
I may have an idea here. I'm just speaking out loud, but it seems to me as if it's our job to convince this woman that we're right and she's wrong. So what if we each talk for a minute or two? You know, try it on for size?
That sounds fair enough.
Very fair.
Supposing we go once around the table.
Okay, let's start it off.
Right. We'll start with you.
Oh, I just think he's guilty. I thought it was obvious.
In what way was it obvious?
I mean, that otherwise.
Nobody has to prove otherwise. Innocent until proven guilty. The burden of proof is on the prosecution. The defendant doesn't have to open his mouth. That's in the Constitution. The Fifth Amendment, you've heard of it.
Everyone has.
Well, sure, I've heard of it. I know what it is. I just think he's guilty.
No reasons, just guilty. There's a life at stake here.
Okay, let's get to the facts. Number 1, let's take the old man who lived on the 2nd floor right underneath the room where the murder took place. On 10 minutes after 12 on the night of the killing, he heard loud noises in the upstairs apartment. He said it sounded like a fight. He then heard the kid say to his father, "I'm gonna kill you." A second later, heard the father's body falling, ran to the door of his apartment and saw the boy running out of the house 15 seconds after that. He then called the police. They found the father with a knife in his chest.
And the coroner fixed the time of death at around midnight.
Right, now what else do you want?
I don't know, it doesn't seem to fit.
The boy's entire story is flimsy. He said he was at the movies. That's a bit ridiculous, isn't it? He couldn't even remember what picture he saw.
That's right, she's absolutely right.
He didn't have any tickets, though.
Who keeps a ticket stub at the movies?
That's true enough, but
I suppose, but the cashier didn't remember.
And the ticket taker didn't either.
Look, what about the woman across the street? If her testimony don't prove it, then nothing does. That's right, she saw the killing, didn't she?
Let's go in order.
Just a minute. Here's a woman who's lying in bed and can't sleep. It's hot, you know. Anyways, she wakes up and she looks out the window, and right across the street she sees the kid stick the knife into his father.
How could she be sure it was the kid when she saw it through the windows of a passing elevated train?
She's known the kid all his life. His window is right opposite hers across the L tracks, and she swore she saw him do it.
I heard her swear to it.
Okay, and they proved in court that you can look through the windows of a passing L train at night and see what's happening on the other side. They proved it.
Weren't you telling us just a minute ago that you couldn't trust them, that you couldn't believe them?
So,
Then I'd like to ask you something. How come you believed her? She's one of them, too, isn't she?
you're a pretty smart girl, aren't
Now
you?
take it easy.
Come on, why are you letting her get you all upset for? Relax.
listen, everyone. They did take us out to the women's room and we looked through the windows of the passing elevated train, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
And weren't you able to see what happened on the other side?
Well, I didn't see as well as they told me I would, but I did see what was happening on the other side.
You see? Do you see?
Let's calm down now. It's your turn.
I'll pass it.
That's your privilege. How about you?
I don't know. I started to be convinced, you know, with the testimony from the people across the hall. Didn't they say something about an argument between the boy and his father around 7 o'clock that night? I mean, I can be wrong.
Yeah, I think it was 8 o'clock, not 7.
That's right, 8 o'clock.
They heard the father hit the boy and they saw the boy walk angrily out of the house.
Right.
What does that prove?
It doesn't exactly prove anything. It's just part of the picture. I didn't say it proved anything.
Anything else?
No.
I don't know. Most of it's been said already. I think we can talk all day about this thing, but I think we're wasting our time.
I don't.
Neither do I. Go on.
Look at the kid's record. He stole a car. He's been arrested for mugging. I think they said he stabbed somebody in the arm.
They did.
At 15, he was sent to reform school.
And they sent him to reform school for stabbing someone.
This is a very fine boy.
Ever since he was 5 years old, his father beat him regularly. He used his fists.
So would I on a kid like that.
You're right. It's the kids. The way they are, you know, they don't listen. I've got a kid. He was 8 years old. He ran away from a fight. I was so ashamed. I told him right there, I'm going to make a man out of you. I'm going to bust you up until a piece is trying. When he was 15, he hit me in the face. He's big, you know. I haven't seen him in 3 years. Rotting kid. I hate tough kids. You work your heart out and... Let's just get back to it.
We're missing the point here. This kid, let's say, the product of a filthy neighborhood and a broken home. We can't help that. We're not here to go into the reasons why slums are breeding grounds for criminals. They are. I know that. So do you. The kids who come out of slum backgrounds are potential menaces to society.
You said it there. I don't want any part of them, believe me.
I've lived in a slum all my life.
Now wait a
I
second.
used to play in a backyard that was filled with garbage. Maybe it still smells.
Now, let's be reasonable. There's nothing...
There is something personal.
Come on, fella. She didn't mean you. Let's not be so sensitive.
Who did she mean?
I can understand the sensitivity.
Now let's stop the bickering.
We're wasting time.
It's your turn.
All right. I had a peculiar feeling about this trial. Somehow I felt that the defense counsel never really conducted a thorough cross-examination. Too many questions were left unasked.
While it doesn't change my opinion about the guilt of the boy, still, I agree with you the defense counsel was bad.
So,
This is a point.
what about facts?
So many questions were never answered.
What about the questions that were answered? For instance, that cute little switch knife that fine upright boy knitted by?
All right, let's talk about it. Let's bring it in here and look at it. I'd like to see it again, Ms. Foreman.
We all know what it looks like. I don't see why we have to look at it again. What do you think?
She has the right to see exhibits of evidence.
Okay by me.
The knife is a pretty strong piece of evidence. Wouldn't you agree?
I do.
Now, let's get to the sequence of events right as they relate to the switch knife.
The boy admits to leaving his house at 8 o'clock after being slapped by his father.
Or punched.
The boy goes to a neighborhood store and purchases a switch knife. The storekeeper was arrested the following day when he admitted selling it to the boy.
I think we all can agree it's an unusual knife. Pretty hard to forget something like that.
The storekeeper identified the knife and said it was the only one of its kind he had in stock. Why did the boy get it?
As a present for a friend of his, he says.
Am I right so far?
Right. She's absolutely right.
Next, the boy claims that on his way home, the knife must have fallen through a hole in his coat pocket, that he never saw it again. Now that's a story, ladies and gentlemen. You know what actually happened. The boy took the knife home and a few hours later stabbed his father with it and even remembered to wipe off the fingerprints. Everyone connected with the case identified this knife. Now, are you trying to tell me that someone picked it up off the street and went to the boy's house and stabbed his father with it just to be amusing?
No, I'm saying that it's possible that the boy did lose the knife and that someone stabbed his father with a similar knife. It's possible.
Oh my God! Take a look at that knife. Very strange knife. I've never seen one before like it in my life. Neither the storekeeper who sold it to him. Aren't you trying to make us accept a pretty incredible coincidence?
I'm not trying to make anyone accept it. I'm just saying it's possible.
And I'm saying it's not possible.
What are you doing?
Guys, what do you think you are?
It's the same knife.
Quiet! Let's be quiet.
Where did you get it?
I got it in a little junk shop around the corner from the boy's house. Cost me $2.
Now you listen to me.
I'm listening.
You pulled a real smart trick here but proves absolutely zero. Maybe there are 10 knives like that.
Maybe
So what?
there are.
The boy lied and you know it.
Maybe he didn't lie. Maybe he did lose the knife. And maybe he did go to the movies. Maybe the reason the cashier didn't remember him was because he sneaked into the movies, and maybe he was ashamed to say so. Did anyone here not sneak into the movies once or twice when you were a kid?
I didn't. Really? Not even once? Or we did have movies? Oh.
Maybe he did sneak into the movies, and maybe he didn't. And he may have lied. Do you think he lied?
No, that's a stupid question. Sure, he lied.
Do you?
You don't have to ask me that. You know my answer. He lied.
Do you think he lied?
I don't know.
Now, wait a second. What are you, the kid's lawyer? Listen, there are still 11 of us who think he's guilty. You're alone. If you want to be stubborn and hang this jury, he's just going to be tried again and found guilty as sure as he's born.
You're probably right.
So what are you going to do about it? We could be here all night. It's only one night. A man may die. Come on.
Well, yes, that's true.
I think we ought to get on with it now.
Yeah, let's.
How do you like this girl?
Well, what have you got to say? You're the one holding up the show.
Obviously, you don't think the boy is guilty.
I have doubt in my mind.
And yet you haven't given us one piece of evidence yet to help us understand your doubt. There's the man downstairs. He heard it. He heard the kid shriek it out.
And the woman across the L track, she saw it.
We know he bought a switch knife that night, and we don't know where he really was. At the movies?
Earlier that night, the kid and his father did have a fight.
He's been a violent kid all the way. And while that doesn't necessarily prove anything,
Still, you know. I've got a proposition to make. I want to call for another vote. I want the 11 of you to vote by secret ballot. I'll abstain. If there are still 11 votes for guilty, I won't stand alone. We'll take in a guilty verdict right now.
Okay, let's do it.
That sounds fair enough. Is everyone agreed?
I certainly am.
Let's roll it.
Perhaps this is best.
Is that everyone? Guilty, 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 guilty.
That's 6.
Please. 6 guilty, 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 guilty. Not guilty, guilty.
Now, how do you like that?
Who did it? I think we have the right to know.
All right, who did it? What idiot changed his vote?
Is that the way to talk about a man's life?
Whose life are you talking about? The life of a dead man or the life of a murderer?
I want to know. Who?
So do I.
Excuse me, this was a secret ballot.
No one looked while we voted, but now I want to know.
A secret ballot, we all agreed on that point, no? If the person wants it to remain a secret,
What do you mean? There are no secrets in here. I know who it was. What's the matter with you? You come in here both guilty, and then a slick preacher starts to tear your heart out with stories about a poor little kid who couldn't help becoming a murderer. If that isn't the most
Now
sickening
hold
thing.
I agree with you that the boy is guilty, but let's be fair.
Hold it. Be fair, we're trying to put a guilty man in the chair where he belongs, and all of a sudden we're paying attention to fairy tales.
No, just a minute.
No, you listen to
Let's
me.
try to keep this organized, ladies and gentlemen.
It's not organized, but let's try and be civilized. Please, I'd like to say something here. I always thought that a person was entitled to have an unpopular opinion in this country. This is the reason I came here. I wanted to have the right to disagree.
Well, do you disagree with us?
Well, usually I would. In this one case, I agree with you. The point I wish to make is that in my own country, I'm ashamed to say that
now, what do we have to listen to the whole history of your country?
it's important to keep in mind what has happened in other countries when people aren't allowed to disagree. But we are, so let's stick to the subject.
Yeah, let's stick to the subject. I want to know. What made you change your vote?
I want to know too. You haven't told us yet.
Why do you think I changed my vote?
Because I do. Get on with it.
There's nothing for him to tell you. He didn't change his vote, I did.
I was going to tell you, but you were so sure of yourself.
Sorry. Okay, now,
Maybe you'd like to know
let me tell you why the
The
kids...
man wants to talk.
Thank you. This woman chose to stand alone against us. That's her right. It takes a great deal of courage to stand alone, even if you believe in something very strongly. She left the verdict up to us. She gambled for support, and I gave it to her. I want to hear more. The vote is 10-2.
That's fine. If the speech is over, let's go on.
If there was anything in this kid's favor, I'd vote not guilty.
I don't see what it is.
Neither do I. They're clutching at straws.
As guilty as they get. That's the kid, I suppose.
It's that one juror that's holding out. Talk him around. She's got to, and fundamentally, she's very reasonable.
I guess so.
They haven't given us one real fact yet to back up a not guilty verdict.
It's hard, you know.
Yes, it is. What does guilty beyond a reasonable doubt really mean, anyway?
What's reasonable doubt?
Exactly. When a life is at stake, what is reasonable doubt? You've got to have law and order. You've got to draw the line somewhere, or else everybody would start knifing people.
Not much doubt here.
Do people think so? Wonder why. I really do wonder why.
Do you hear stories about innocent men who have gone to jail or death sometimes, and then years later things turn up?
And then on the other hand, there are some killers that get turned loose and they go and they kill again. Squeeze out on some technicality and they kill again.
Look, now that we've cooled down a bit, I was a little excited a minute ago. You know how it is. I didn't mean to get nasty. Nothing personal.
Look, supposing you answer me this. If the kid didn't kill him, then who did?
As far as I know, we're only figuring out whether or not the boy on trial is guilty. We're not concerned with anyone else's motives here.
I suppose, but who else would know?
The kid's father was along in years, maybe an old grudge.
But remember, it's guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. This is important.
Everyone's a lawyer. Supposing you explain to us what your reasonable doubts are.
This is not easy. So far, it's only a feeling I have. A feeling perhaps you do not understand.
No, I don't.
A feeling? What are we gonna do, spend the night talking about your feelings? What about the facts?
You said a mouthful. Look, the old man heard the kid yell, "I'm gonna kill you." A second later, heard the father's body falling and saw the boy running out of the house 15 seconds after that.
That's right, and let's not forget the woman across the street. She looked through the open window and saw the boy stab his father. She saw it.
Where's the reasonable doubt in that?
Well, what have you got to say?
It's not enough for me.
What is enough for you? I'd like to know.
How do you like this girl? It's like talking into a dead phone.
The woman saw the killing through the window of a passing elevated train. The train had 5 cars and she saw through the window of the last 2 cars. She remembers the most insignificant details.
What do you have got to say?
I don't know, it doesn't sound right to me.
Well, supposing you think about it. Lend me your pencil. We'll play tic-tac-toe. We might as well pass the time.
This isn't a game!
Now, wait a minute.
It's a man's life.
Who do you think you are?
Right, let's settle down.
I've got a good mind to walk around this table and belt her one.
Now please, I don't want any fights in here.
Did you hear her? The nerve. The absolute
All
nerve.
right, for Forget it. Don't mean anything.
How about sitting down? This isn't a game. Who does she think she is?
Weren't we talking about elevated trains?
Yes, we were.
So,
All right. How long does it take an elevated train going at top speed to pass a given point?
what has that got to do with anything?
How long would it take? Guess.
I wouldn't have the slightest idea.
Neither would I.
I don't think they mentioned it.
What do you think?
10, 12 seconds maybe.
I'd say that was a fair guess. Anyone else?
I'd say about 10 seconds, perhaps.
About 10 seconds, yes.
All right, we're agreed. 10 seconds. What are you getting at?
This. An L train takes 10 seconds to pass a given point. That given point is the window of the room in which the killing took place. You could almost reach out of the window and touch the L, isn't that right?
That's right, I tried it.
Now let me ask you something. Has anyone here ever lived right next to the L tracks?
I've lived close to them.
They make a lot of noise, don't they? I've lived right by the L tracks. When your window is open and the train goes by, the noise is almost unbearable. You can't hear yourself think.
Okay, you can hear something.
Get to the point. The old man downstairs says that he heard the boy say,
He didn't say it. He screamed it.
the old man downstairs said that he heard the boy scream, "I'm going to kill you." Then 1 second later, he heard the body fall. 1 second, that's the testimony, right?
Right.
The woman across the street said that she looked through the windows of the last 2 cars of the L train and saw the body fall. Right?
Right.
So, the last 2 cars. Last 2 cars.
What are you giving us here?
An L train takes 10 seconds to pass a given point, or 2 seconds per car. That L had been going by the old man's window for at least 6 seconds, and maybe more, before the body fell. The old man would have had to hear the boy say, "I'm going to kill you," while the front of the L was roaring past his nose. It's not possible that he could have heard it.
What do you mean? Sure, it's possible.
With an L train going by,
You said the boy yells it out.
an L train makes a lot of noise.
It's enough for me.
It's enough for me, too.
I don't think he could have heard it.
Maybe the old man did hear it. I mean, with the L noise.
What do you mean? Are you calling the old man a liar?
Something doesn't fit.
Well, it stands to reason.
You're crazy. Why would he lie about a thing like that? What has he got to gain?
Attention, maybe.
You keep coming up with these bright sayings. Why don't you send one to a newspaper? They pay $2.
Is that the way to talk about a man's life? Why might the old man have lied? You have a right to be heard.
It's just that I looked at him for a very long time. The seam of his jacket was split under his arm. Did you notice that? He was a very old man with a torn jacket. He carried 2 canes. I think I know him better than anyone else here. This is a quiet, frightened, insignificant man who's been nothing all of his life. Who's never had recognition. His name in the newspapers. Nobody knows him after 75 years. This is a very sad thing. A man like this needs to be recognized, to be questioned, to be quoted, and listened to just once. This is very important.
So you were trying to tell us that he lied about a thing like this, just so he could be important?
No, he wouldn't really lie, but perhaps he'd make himself believe that he heard those words and saw the boy's face.
Well, that's the most fantastic story I've ever heard. How can you make up a thing like that?
I'm not making it up.
You must be. People don't lie about things like that.
He made himself believe he told the truth.
What do you know about it?
I speak from experience.
What?
I'm the same man.
I think we all understand now. Thank you.
If you want to make her a liar, that's all right by me.
Now that is too much.
He's a liar. You just told us so.
He did not say he was lying, he was explaining.
Didn't you just admit that you're a liar?
Please. He was explaining the circumstances so that we could understand why the old man might have lied. There is a difference.
A liar's a liar. That's all there is to it.
Please have some compassion.
Ladies, gentlemen, please, we have our job and our duty
I
here.
think they've covered it.
I hope we have, all right? Is there anything else?
Cough drop?
No, thank you.
Anyone want a cough drop?
Come on, let's get on with it.
All right. Now, I think we've proved the old man couldn't have heard the boy say, "I'm going to kill you."
Well, I disagree.
Let's hear her through anyway.
But supposing the old man did hear the boy say, "I'm going to kill you." This phrase, how many times has each of you used it? Probably hundreds. If you do that once more, Junior, I'll murder you, or "Come on, Rocky, kill him." We say it every day. This doesn't actually mean we're going to kill somebody.
Don't the circumstances alter that somewhat?
The old man was murdered. One thing more, the phrase was, "I'm gonna kill you," and the kid screams it at the top of his lungs.
That's the way I understand it.
Now don't tell me he didn't mean it. Anyone says something like that the way he did, they mean it.
And how they mean it. Well, let me ask you this. Do you really think the boy would shout out something like that so the whole neighborhood could hear it? I don't think so. He's much too bright for that.
Right?
He's a common ignorant slob. He don't even speak good English.
He doesn't even speak good English. The boy is clever enough.
I'd like to change my vote to not guilty.
Are you sure?
Yes, I'm sure.
The vote is 9-3 in favor of guilty.
I'd like to know why you changed your vote.
I think there's a doubt.
Where? What are the doubts?
There's the knife.
She talked you into believing a fairy tale.
Go on. It's the reasons.
The old man, too. Maybe he didn't lie, but then just maybe he did. Maybe the old man doesn't like the kid.
What are you basing it on? Stories that this woman made up? She got to write for Amazing Detective Monthly. She'd make a fortune. Listen, the kid had a lawyer, didn't he? Why didn't his lawyer bring up all these points?
Lawyers can't think of everything.
Brother, you come in here and you pull stories out of thin air. Now we're not supposed to believe that the old man didn't get out of bed, run to the door, and see the kid beat it downstairs 15 seconds after the killing.
That's the testimony.
And the old man swore to this. Yes, he swore to this, just so he could be important.
Did the old man say he ran to the door?
Ran, walked. What's the difference? He got there.
I don't remember what he said, but I don't see how he could have ran.
The old man said he went to the door. Yes, I remember now. The old man said he went to the door. That's enough, isn't it?
Where was the old man's bedroom again?
Down the hall somewhere.
Down the hall somewhere. Are we to send a man off to die because it's down the hall somewhere?
I thought you remembered everything. Don't you remember that?
No, I don't.
I don't remember either.
Miss Foreman, I'd like to see a diagram of the apartment.
Why don't we just have to run the entire trial over so you can get everything straight?
The old man's bedroom was down the hall somewhere. Do you know exactly where it is? Please, a man's life is at stake. Do you know?
Well,
Miss Foreman.
I heard you.
What's this one for? How come you're the only one who wants to see exhibits all the time?
I'd like to see this one, too.
So do I.
And I want to stop wasting time.
Are we going to start wading through all the evidence about where the body was found?
No. We're going to find out how an old man who's had 2 strokes in the past 3 years and who walks with a pair of canes can get to his front door in 15 seconds.
He said 20 seconds.
He said 15.
How does he know how long that is? You can't judge a thing like that.
He said 15. He was very positive about it.
He's an old man. You saw that. He was confused half the time. How could he be positive about anything? Well, you know.
No, I don't know. Maybe you know.
Is this what you wanted?
That's right. Thank you.
Sure, that's my job.
you want this?
Yes, please.
Do me a favor. Wake me up when this is over.
I looked at that diagram for 2 hours. Enough is enough.
Some of us are interested.
Go ahead. All right. This is the diagram of the apartment in which the killing took place. The old man's apartment is directly beneath it and exactly the same. Here are the L tracks, the bedroom, living room, bathroom, kitchen, and here's the hall. Here's the front door to the apartment, and here are the steps. The old man says he got up out of bed, went out into the hall, down the hall to the front door, opened it, and looked out just in time to see the boy racing down the stairs. Isn't that so?
That's the story.
That's what happened.
All in 15 seconds.
Correct.
The bed was at the window. It's 12 feet from the bed to the bedroom door. The length of the hall is 43 feet. He had to get up, get out of bed, get his canes, walk 12 feet, open the bedroom door, walk 43 feet, and open the front door. All in 15 seconds. Do you think this is possible?
You know it's possible.
I don't see why not.
He would have been in a hurry. He did hear the scream.
He can only walk very slowly. I mean, they had to have him into the witness chair.
You make it sound like a long walk. It's not.
For an old man who uses 2 canes, it's a long walk.
What are you doing?
I want to try this thing. Let's see how long it took the old man to get to his front door. I'm going to pace off 12 feet, the length of the bedroom.
You're crazy. You can't recreate a thing like that.
Perhaps if we could see it. This is an important point.
It's a ridiculous waste of time.
Let her do it.
I don't see any harm in it. Foolish, but go ahead.
Hand me that chair, please. All right. This is the bedroom door. How far would you say it is from here to the door of this room?
I'd say it was about 20 feet. Just about.
20 feet is close enough. All right. From here to the door of this room and back is about 40 feet. It's shorter than the length of the hall the old man had to walk through, wouldn't you say so?
A few feet, maybe.
Look, this is absolutely insane. What makes you think you can do this?
We can't stop her.
Do you mind if I try? According to you, it'll only take 15 seconds. We can spare that. Who's got a watch with the second hand?
I have.
Well, you want me to start, stamp your foot. That'll be the body falling.
We'll time you from there.
Let's say he keeps his canes at his bedside.
Right.
Okay, I'm ready.
I'm waiting for the hand to get to 60.
Speed it up. He walked twice as fast as that. This isn't thinking more quickly than the old man moved into the courtroom.
Notice it. If you think I should go faster, I will. Speed it up a little. Stop.
Right.
What's the time?
15, 20, 30, 35, 39 seconds, exactly.
That can't be.
39 seconds?
Now that's interesting.
Hey, now, you know, what do you think of that? 39 seconds.
The old man swore on her oath that it was only 15.
She might have been a little bit off on speed than the old man moved in, but 24 seconds off, well, now you know.
Far be it from me to call anyone a liar, and even allowing for quite a difference in speeds between the old man and you, why, still, there's quite a
discrepancy.
It's my guess that the old man was trying to get to his front door, heard someone racing down the stairs, and assumed that it was the boy.
I think that's possible. Assumed? Now listen to me, people. I've seen all kinds of dishonesty in my day, but this little display takes the cake.
What dishonesty?
Tell her. You'll come in here with your heart bleeding all over the floor about slum kids and injustice, and you got softer old ladies listening to you. Well, I'm not. I'm getting real sick of you. What's the matter with you people? This kid is guilty. He's got to burn. We're letting him slip through our fingers.
Our fingers. Are you his executioner?
Or one of them.
Perhaps you'd like to pull the switch.
For this kid, you bet I'd like to.
I'm sorry for you. What it must feel like to want to pull the
Shut up.
switch. You're a sadist.
Shut up.
You want to see this boy die because you personally want it, not because of the facts. You're a beast. You disgust me.
Shut up! I'll kill him! I'll kill him!
You didn't really mean you'd kill me, did you?
Is anything wrong, ladies and gentlemen? I thought I heard some noise.
No, there's nothing wrong. You can take that back now. We're finished with it.
Well, what are you looking at?
I don't see why we have to behave like children here.
Nor do I. We have a responsibility here. This is a remarkable thing about democracy, that we are, what is the word? Notified. That we are notified by mail to come down to this place and decide on the guilt or innocence of a man. A man we have not known before. We don't have anything to gain or lose by our verdict. And this is what makes us strong. We should not make this a personal thing.
Thank you very much.
Why do you thank me?
We forget. It's good to be reminded.
I'm glad that we're going to be civilized about this.
We're still nowhere.
No, we're somewhere. Getting there, maybe.
Maybe.
Who's got an idea?
I think maybe we should try another vote. Ms. Foreman?
It's all right with me. Anybody who doesn't want to vote?
Let's vote.
I want to open ballot. Let's call our votes up. I want to see who stands for.
Sounds fair enough. Anyone object? I'll call out our jury members. I vote guilty. Number 2,
Not guilty.
3,
Guilty.
4,
Guilty.
5,
Not guilty.
6,
Not guilty.
7,
Guilty.
8,
Not guilty.
9,
Not guilty.
10,
Guilty.
11,
Not guilty.
12,
Not guilty.
7 to 6.
6 to 6.
6 to 6.
I'll tell you something. The crime is being committed right in this room.
The vote is 6 to 6.
I'm ready to walk into court right now and declare a hung jury. There's no point to this going on anymore.
I'd like to know why you changed your vote. And why you changed your vote and why you did. There are 6 people here who think we may be turning a murderer loose in the streets. Emotions won't do. Why?
It's
It does not seem the old man saw the boy run down the stairs. I do not think it likely he heard someone scream, "I'm going to kill you." And even if he did, we have the authority of this woman to prove it might not really mean he's going to kill.
Why don't we just take it into the judge and let the kid take a chance with 12 other people?
6 to 6. I don't think we'll ever agree on anything.
It's gotta be unanimous, and we're never gonna convince her.
At first I was alone, now 5 others agree there is a doubt.
You can't ever convince me that there's a doubt, because I know there is no doubt.
I tell you what, maybe we're a hung jury. It happens sometimes.
We are not going to be a hung jury.
But we are right now a perfect balance. Let's take it into the judge.
There's a reasonable doubt. I don't see it.
The doubt is there in my mind.
Maybe we should vote.
What do you mean, vote?
Not again.
I still want to know. Vote on what?
Are we or aren't we a hung jury?
We can't even agree on whether or not the window should be open.
Let's make it a majority vote. The majority wins.
If 7 or more of us vote that we are a hung jury, we take it to the judge and tell him that we are a hung jury.
Right. And if 7 or more of us vote no, then we aren't a hung jury, and we go on discussing it.
Doesn't sound right to me.
It's the only solution.
I agree. It's the only way.
Anything to end this.
So we're agreed. 7 or more vote yes, and we'll take it to the judge.
Let's call our votes out.
Right? I vote yes, we are a hung jury. Number 2?
No.
3?
Yes.
4?
Yes.
5?
No.
6?
No.
7?
Yes.
8?
No.
9?
No.
10?
Yes.
11?
No.
12?
Yes.
Oh, no.
It's 6 to 6.
Can't even get a majority to decide whether or not we're a hung jury.
I didn't agree with voting the way I did. Not really, and I still don't, so I'm changing my vote. I say no, we are not a hung jury. There are still some things I want to find out from those that change their minds.
So we aren't a hung jury. And we go on.
Good. We go on.
Why did you change your vote?
Well, she seems so sure, and she has presented a good number of facts when she just gets mad and insults everybody.
Does the anger and the insult change the guilt of the kid? He did do it. Are we going to send a murderer loose in the streets just because one juror gets mad when she thinks about a murderer being turned loose?
That's true.
There is a doubt.
I don't think so. The L track was straight out front of the window. Let's take that point. So L trains make a low rumbling noise. L trains screech when they go around curves. So the old man would have been able to hear screams, which is high pitched. And they do live in a tenement, so it has thin walls.
Good, that's it.
And what if the old man was wrong about the time it took him to get to the door, but right about whom he saw running down the stairs? Please remember that there were no fingerprints, and it is summer, so gloves seem unlikely.
Now listen to this one. She's got the goods.
And it would have taken a second or two to get out a handkerchief and wipe all the fingerprints away.
This is a point.
Why don't we just time this one?
Just what are we timing?
Yes, let's be exact, please.
I'm saying that the old man downstairs may have been wrong about the time it took him to get to the door, but right about whom he saw running down the stairs. Now, it may have taken about 39 seconds for him to run down the hall and down the stairs to the point where the old man saw him. The boy, that is.
This is right.
We reconstructed the old man getting out of bed and going to the door. We timed that. Now let's reconstruct the actual crime.
As well as we can reconstruct.
I think a murderer could use up 30 or 40 seconds pretty easily at that point.
Let's reconstruct the killing.
Yes, let's.
Here, you do the stabbing.
No, I'll do it.
Why don't you be the one that gets stabbed? You're younger than I am, and remember you take 1 second to fall.
And the old man was found on his side, his right side, so fall and roll onto your right side. Now, if someone hates another person enough to kill them, don't you think it's reasonable that the murderer would look at his victim for a second or two?
Divorce yourself in this particular case. Just human nature.
Well, it seems reasonable.
Wait a minute. The father falls and ends up on his right side, but stabbing someone isn't like shooting them, even if it's right in the heart. He would have worked around for a few seconds. Writhing, maybe?
That's true. The old man would have had enough oxygen in the system to carry him for a few seconds, I should think.
Wouldn't the father have cried out?
Maybe the kid held his mouth.
That also seems possible.
Also, there's another point we might bring out. Anyone who is clear enough mentally to wipe away all the fingerprints after killing someone, well, that person is also clear enough mentally to look around the apartment, or room in this case, and see if there are any other clues. Should only take a second or two, I should think, but still, you would look around. Just gets better and better. 3 times the last one, why don't you time this one as well? All right. Stamp your foot when you want me to start.
I'm waiting for the hand to get to 60.
I'm going to kill you! Ah! Stop.
20, yeah, 20, 25, about 29 and a half seconds, I'd say.
And whoever did murder the old man, and I think it was the kid, he still would have had to run down the hall and down the stairs, at least one flight of stairs. You see? Now the old man may have been wrong about the time it took him to get to the door, but in view of this, I think it's quite reasonable to assume that he did see the boy run down the stairs.
So now both time sequences check. The one we did and the one you did. What with running down the stairs and everything, they do both seem to check out on times.
Sure, he's an old man who just wants attention. He's probably right, but the old man feels the same way everyone else does. A life is at stake.
So the story of the old man may well be true.
Except for the fact that he absolutely swore under oath that it was only 15 seconds.
We all seem to agree that it was at least 25 to 40 seconds later.
You are now admitting that the old man lied in one case and told the truth in the other. While I admit this does tend to confirm the story of the old man, he's now a proven liar. And this is of your own admission.
I agree that the old man may lie, but I think I will change my mind once more. Guilty.
What about you? What do you think?
I don't quite know what I think. I think I want to talk some more. At first I thought guilty, and then I changed. Now I'm sort of swinging back to guilty.
And what about you? What do you think?
No, I'm not in real doubt. I mean, real doubt.
I say guilty. I was right the first time.
Now we're beginning to make sense in here. Seems to be about 9-3 in favor of guilty.
One more question about the old man downstairs. How many of you live in apartment buildings?
I don't know what you're thinking, but, well, I know what I'm thinking.
What's that?
I don't live in a tenement, but it's close. There's only so much light in the hallway so you can see the steps, no more. I think the light bulbs are very small. Do you remember how we stumbled on the steps?
The police officers were using big bulbs, and one even had a flashlight, remember?
An old man who misjudged time by 20 seconds. I mean, on that we all agree. This old man looked down the dark hallway and recognized a running figure.
He was 100% wrong about the time. It took twice as long as he thought.
Then couldn't the same old man be 100% wrong about who he saw?
That's the most idiotic thing I've ever heard. How can you make up a thing like that?
Do you truly think that there's no room for reasonable doubt?
I do.
Well, I beg your pardon, but maybe you don't understand the term reasonable doubt.
What do you mean I don't understand it? Who do you think you are to talk to me like that? How do you like this girl? She comes in here running for her life, and before she can even take a deep breath, she's telling us how to run the show. The arrogance of her!
No one here is asking where anyone came from.
I was born right here.
Or where your father came from.
Maybe it wouldn't hurt us to take a few tips from the people who come running here. Maybe they learned something we don't know. We're not so perfect.
Please, it's all right. I'm used to this. Thank you.
It's not all right.
Okay. Okay. I apologize. Is that what you want?
It's what I want.
All right, let's stop the arguing. Who's got something constructive to say?
Well, something's been bothering me for a little. This whole business about the stab move, the downward angle of it, you know?
This again? They went over and over in court.
I know they do, but I don't go along with it. The boy was 5 feet 8 inches tall. His father is 6 feet 2 inches tall. It's a very awkward thing to stab down into the chest of someone who's 6 inches taller than you are.
Look, you're not going to be happy till you see it again. I'll give a demonstration, someone get up. Okay. Is this 6 inches?
That's more than 6 inches.
Okay, let it be more.
That's not funny!
What's the matter with you?
Nobody's hurt, are they?
No, nobody's hurt. Take a look at that. There's your angle. That's how I stab a man that was taller than me in the chest, and that's how he's done. Take a look at that. Tell me I was right.
Down and in, I guess there's no argument about it.
Did you ever stab a man?
Of course not.
Did you?
No, don't be silly.
Did you?
No, I haven't.
Then I'd like to ask you something. Have you ever seen a man stabbed?
No.
Then I'd like to ask you something. This boy was an experienced knife fighter. He was even sent to the reform school for knife fighting. Isn't that so?
That's right.
Look at this. Doesn't it seem like an awkward way to handle a knife?
What are you asking?
Wait a minute. What's the matter with me? Give me that knife.
Have you ever seen a knife fight?
Yes, I have.
In the movies?
In my backyard, on my stoop, in the vacant lot across the street. Too many of them. Switch knives came with the neighborhood where I lived. Funny thing, I didn't think about it before. Makes you try to forget those things. Anyway, anyone who's ever used a switch knife would have never stabbed downwards. You don't handle a switch knife that way. You use it underhand.
So he couldn't have made the kind of wound that killed his father.
I suppose it's conceivable that he could have made the wound, but it's not like, not if he'd had any experience with switch knives. And we know this kid had a lot of experience with switch knives.
I don't believe it.
Neither do I. You're giving us a lot of mumbo jumbo.
What do you think?
I don't know.
What about you?
Listen, I'll tell you all something. I'm a little sick of this already. We're getting nowhere fast. Just pack it up and go home.
Before we decide anything more, I would like to try to hold this together.
It should be good.
Do you want me to time this too?
Let's hear her.
I'm in advertising. I'm used to the big shots pulling things together. So let's chip up a few shots and see if any of them land on the green.
I want you all to look at this logically and consistently.
We have. Guilty.
I want to know, is the kid smart or is the kid dumb?
What do you mean?
This is a kid who's gone to the reform school for knife fighting. It would then take a very stupid kid to go and murder a man, his father, with a weapon that everyone would associate with the kid.
I quite agree. He's dumb.
However, if he were dumb, why did he make the kind of wound that an amateur would make with a knife?
I'm not sure I understand.
To murder someone must take great emotion, great hatred. And at that moment, he would handle the knife as best he could. And a trained knife fighter would handle it as he'd been trained, underhand. A man who had not been trained would handle it overhand. But the kid is being very smart. Everyone knows that he's an experienced knife fighter. So he makes the decision at that moment to make the kind of wound that an inexperienced man would make. That man is a smart man, smart enough to wipe the fingerprints away, perhaps even smart enough to wait until an L train was going by in order to cover the noise. Now, is the kid smart or is he dumb?
Wait a minute.
Well, the woman across the L track said she saw the murder through the train, so somebody else on the train could have seen the murder.
A possibility, but no one did that. No one did that we know of.
Well, it would take an awfully dumb person to take that chance, doing the murder as the train went by.
Exactly, a dumb man, a stupid man, a man swept by emotion. Probably he heard nothing. He probably didn't even hear the train coming. And whoever did murder the father did it as well as he could.
So?
The kid is dumb enough to do everything to associate himself with a switch knife. A switch knife murder. And then, a moment after the murder, he becomes smart. The kid is smart enough to make the kind of wound that would lead us to suspect someone else, and yet at the same instant, he is dumb enough to do the killing as the L train is going by, and then a moment later, he is smart enough to wipe the fingerprints away. To make this boy guilty, you have to say that he is dumb from 8 o'clock until about midnight, and then about midnight, he's smart 1 second, then dumb for a few seconds, and then smart again, and then once again, he becomes stupid. So stupid that he does not think of a good alibi. Now, is the kid smart or is he dumb? To make this boy guilty, you have to toss his intelligence like a pancake. There is doubt, doubt, doubt.
I hadn't thought of that.
And the old man downstairs on the stand, he swore it was 15 seconds. He insisted on 15 seconds. And yet we all agree that it must have been almost 40 seconds.
Does the old man lie half the time and then tell the truth the other?
For the kid to be guilty, he must be stupid and then smart, and then stupid and then smart, and so on. And also for the kid to be guilty, the old man must be a liar half the time, and the other half he must tell the truth. You can reasonably doubt.
I'm sold on reasonable doubt.
I think I am too.
I wanted more talk, and now I've had it.
I want another vote. Okay, there's another vote called for. I think the quickest way to do this is by a show of hands. Anyone object? All those voting not guilty, raise your hands. 9. All those voting guilty. The vote is 9-3 in favor of acquittal.
I don't understand you people. How can you believe this kid is innocent? Look, you know how those people lie. I don't have to tell you. They don't know what the truth is. And let me tell you, they don't need any reason to kill someone either. You know, they get drunk and bang, somebody's lying in the gutter. Nobody's blaming them. That's how they are. You know what I mean? Violent. Human life don't mean as much to them as it does to us. Hey, where are you all going? Look, these people are drinking and fighting all the time, and if somebody gets killed, so somebody gets killed. They don't care. Oh, sure, there are some good things about them, too. I'm the first to say that. I've known a few who were pretty decent. It's the exception. Most of them, it's like they have no feelings. They can do anything. What's going on here? I'm speaking my piece, and you listen to me. They're no good. There's not one of them who's any good. We better watch out. Take this from me. This kid is on trial. Well, don't you know about them? Listen to me. What are you doing? I'm trying to tell you something.
I've had enough. If you open your mouth again, I'm going to split your skull.
I'm trying to tell you.
All right. Sit down, everybody. I still think the boy is guilty of murder. I'll tell you why. To me, the most damning evidence was given by the woman across the street who claims she actually saw the murder committed.
That's it. That's the most important testimony.
All right, let's go over her testimony. What exactly did she say?
I believe I can recount it accurately. The woman said she went to bed at around 11 o'clock that night. Her bed is right next to the window, and she can look out the open window and see directly into the window across the street. She tossed and turned for over an hour, unable to sleep. Finally, at about 12:10, she turned over, looked out the window, and saw the boy stick the knife into his father. Now, as far as I'm concerned, that's an unshakable testimony.
That's what I mean. That's the whole case.
What do you think about it?
I don't know. Maybe. There's just so much evidence to sit.
What do you mean, maybe? You could throw out all the other evidence.
That's how I felt. I don't deny the validity of the points she has made. Shall we say on one side of the track there is doubt? But what can you say about the story of the woman? She saw it.
What time is it?
It's 4:19.
You don't suppose they'd let us go home and finish this up in the morning, do you? I've got a kid with mumps.
Not a chance.
Can't you see the clock without your glasses?
Not clearly.
Glasses are a nuisance, aren't they?
Well, what do you do when you wake up at night and you want to know what time it is?
I put on my glasses and look at the clock.
I just lay in bed waiting for the clock to chime. My father got it for me when we were married. My wife and I. It was 10 years before we had a place to put it.
Do you wear your glasses to bed?
Of course not. No one wears eyeglasses to bed.
Let me ask you something. The woman who testified that she saw the killing wears glasses. What about her?
Did she wear glasses?
Of course. She wore bifocals. I remember them clearly now. They seemed quite strong.
That's right, bifocals. She never took them off.
I think it's logical to assume that she wasn't wearing her glasses to bed, and I don't think she put them on to glance casually out the window. She testified that the murder took place the instant she looked out, and that the lights went out a split second later. She couldn't have had time to put her glasses on then. Now, perhaps this woman honestly thought she saw the boy kill his father. I say she only saw a blur.
How do you know what you saw? Maybe she's farsighted.
How does she know all these things? Does anyone here still think that there's not a reasonable doubt?
will always wonder, but there's a reasonable doubt.
I think he's guilty.
Is anyone else?
No. There is a reasonable doubt.
You're alone.
11 votes, not guilty. 1 guilty.
I don't care if I'm alone or not. I have a right.
Yes, you have a right.
Well, I told you I think the kid's guilty. What else do you want?
Your argument.
I gave you my argument.
We're not convinced. We're waiting to hear them again. We have time.
What's the matter with you? You're the girl who made all the arguments. A guilty man, a murderer to lose. Stay with me.
I'm sorry, I can't. I don't think I'm wrong, Archie, but I guess I was this once. There is a reasonable doubt.
We're waiting.
You're not going to intimidate me. I'm entitled to my opinion. It's going to be a hung jury. That's it.
There's nothing we can do about that, except hope that some night, maybe in a few months, why, you might get some sleep.
You're all alone.
It takes a great deal of courage to stand alone.
If it's a hung jury, then the boy will be tried again, and some of us will point out these things to various lawyers.
All right.
They're waiting.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Q&A section. Questions, comments?
It was fabulous.
Oh my God, thank you.
First, we want to thank someone who's so special she needs 2 people to thank her. We want to thank Mackenzie Spieler, and the funny thing is her last name is German, and it kind of means actress. Well, we use it means player, but in Germany we use it as actress, but it's ironic because she's not an actress, she's more like behind the scenes.
Okay, if you see all the clothing that we're wearing, all of this, we look pretty great, right? That's because Mackenzie has helped so much put together all of our costumes. She makes sure our makeup and our hair is done, runs around attacking us with blush right before we're gonna go on. But the reason why we look so great and put together is thanks to Mackenzie. So if you come out here, I think that's great.
So I think you guys noticed there were some pretty fun sounds in this show. We had a window, we had a lock. It was very exciting, and
His name is Henry King. He's right here. Mrs. Mackenzie.
And then there's one more student we'd like to thank. This is a girl who has done so much to make the show what it is. She is our beloved stage manager. She's come to every single rehearsal. She's told us when we've messed up on our lines. She's written down everything. And all of the crew that put all of this together, she's in charge of all of this. And she's just an incredible person all around. She's such a positive light. She's one of my best friends. So, here for Abigail
So there's a lot of work that goes in behind all of the actual show itself. Walls, tables, lights, which takes so much more time than you think. Honestly, we have some great adults, but there are a bunch that we really want to thank. Mainly Scott Hickey, Ronnie Michael, Ken Schneider, and John Martinez. They're all amazing. I don't think any of them are here tonight. They don't like us that much. They're all awesome. But these flowers are for them.
So, we just thanked Mackenzie, and her and the whole costume crew are amazing. You know, they're so sweet, they're so nice, but they wouldn't be the same without someone to look over them, like, you know, someone to tell them to chill sometimes. So, Mrs. Walsh, could you, if you're here, could you come in and get some flowers? Is she here? Okay, these are also in spirit.
Okay, we have a lot of crew people to thank. This is someone who has done a lot to make our production great. All of the props that we have all been looked over by him, so this beautiful table and whatnot. So I'd like to thank Joe Rocchio, our production assistant, and our we still love him regardless.
All right. Okay, so we also want to thank Rob for just being amazing and helping our production really get on its feet and helping us really find the characters of all of us, especially for me, because it's kind of hard becoming such a mean person when I'm so thank you, Rob, for all your help and all the work that you put.
This entire set here we built over the course of a couple of months. And I'd like to thank Brian Porco, who helped us put it all together and supervised everyone working on it, and helped us learn how to build things as well as just sort of telling us what to do. And sort of this whole thing was his vision as well as Amanda's. So Porco, come out and get
is someone that not only has helped out a tremendous amount with the show, but has also helped out a tremendous amount with brightening my day. I get to see him every morning at the early hour of 8:15. He is an amazing physics teacher, and he's been an amazing assistant director, so Mr. Panzer.
I don't see him around, but I know he's floating somewhere. He's an incredible music teacher and all around just an incredible person. This show couldn't have happened without him because he produced the entire thing. And he's just such a positive light. Every single day I see him, and he just reminds me what a fantastic show this is, and I'm just so lucky that we've had him on board with the show. So Mr. Morris, please come up here.
Okay, this is the last one, I promise. So I've always thought that, although we're all amazingly talented, the show is never good if it doesn't have a good director. And luckily, we were so lucky to have Ms. Urban as our director this year. She's been so amazing and kind and understanding, and she smiles even though she's full of rage. So Ms. Urban, please come get some flowers.